Well, yeah. So this is the last question. I don't know if you want to. Yeah. So this is like my favorite subject because we're ending on a fun note about the possibility of extraterrestrial life. We know that there are far more stars in the cosmos than grains of sand on Earth, and there are billions of galaxies like ours. So the statistical probability of existence of extraterrestrials is very high. And in light of the New York Times article showing that the Pentagon admits that they're in possession of vehicles not from this planet, and the growing wave of UFO disclosure and declassification by credible, high-ranking officials all around the world, and also the leaked Tic Tac UFO recorded by Air Force Commander David Fravor. These are all very famous accounts. What do you think? First of all, do you believe that the possibility exists, and also, what do you think that does to a clear-cut? If a clear-cut discovery occurs, what will that do to people of faith?
Well, what do people of faith? I don't know. It won't do, for me, it won't change the idea that there has to be a creator. The creator, as far as life on our planet Earth, has told us what that creator wants. He or she, I'm sorry if my wife were here, she would tell you that she's wonderful. And that information is relative to us. I would say if there is complex life anywhere, and from these, if you must have seen the videos, I presume, have you seen the videos of these? He described it as a TikTok,
Yeah, of course.
Something. So you've seen the videos, and they do make motions that are not possible to explain by conventional physics, meaning relativistic physics as well. If it is not some military thing or whatever, I would say that the proof of complex life anywhere is absolute proof, that of complex life beyond Earth is absolute proof of God. Absolute. Because you can't get it twice a chance. Just can't. It's just too complex. Now, but see, I have something. I think it is unfair. You can cut this part out if you like. It is unfair of orthodoxy to say that the Torah says that the only form of intelligent life is on Earth. I don't think that at all. I think that's an opinion. It's a rabbinic opinion that I think the Torah is given to life on Earth. That Torah is our guide for life on Earth. And if there's life elsewhere, our Torah is our Torah. It's not changing, etc. That's it. But if God has decided that, that God has life elsewhere else, I don't think we have the right to limit God to think that we are the only. But as far as life on Earth, we are the highest level by far, and we have been and we as a Jewish people, not because it's so great. Look at I make my students read Deuteronomy chapter 20. I can't even remember. God says, if I had my way, I'd wipe you out. You're such a bunch of schlemiels. But I can't do it because you're my marker. Read it. It's Deuteronomy. It's right before. It's 2 chapters before. It's right before. It's 2 chapters before. I'd wipe you out if I could, but I can't because you're my marker.
Right.
So we were chosen. We are life on this. Can there be life elsewhere in the universe? I think, from what I understand in the Torah, for certain there can be life elsewhere in the universe.
Interestingly, the Rambam, Maimonides actually names the created entities that have no form, which are, let's say, angels, and there's the Chayot HaKodesh, whatever that means, and all these different creatures that exist. But we have this tradition within Judaism that they don't have free will, or they don't have, right? So we like to your point, the Torah is for us. It's not. We have the tradition that it's not for the angels because it's relevant to the land of Israel and for our, for human behavior. So that's really exactly.
Yeah. I think that possibly why the Orthodox world is threatened by the idea is because of the concept of, that all the universe is centered for man, right? And if there's other intelligence, other life, it kind of threatens this idea that the whole universe was created for man. Interestingly, though, the Rambam in Moreh Nevuchim, I think, I'm not sure, but I think actually goes against that idea. Right, that it's not all for man.
Yes.
That's an egotistical,
he has a
self-serving way of thinking about God and religion in general.
He has a theocentric view of the universe,
which is really good, I think, theocentric.
Yeah.
Of course, absolutely.
I think, and one of the words that Ben, that you used was tradition. We have a tradition, but a tradition doesn't necessarily mean that it's written in stone or from Sinai.
Sure.
So, but no matter what it is, for sure, we have the Torah, and it is our obligation. And God set this up, and we see it. We see the people of Israel. God makes a prediction when we're a bunch of little people freed slaves. I mean, we're like, cowering, and obviously, and still the world. I mean, Israel. What makes, at least maybe only here, but Bennett meets with Putin. I mean, you have to realize. I mean, Russia versus, and myself example. The position of Jews in this world doesn't make sense. Like just like the development of DNA by random processes doesn't make sense. This position of Jews in this whole world. When China passed when China had the Cultural Revolution, before your time, it's in the 1970s, going to the very beginning, about 1980. Then 1980, China decided to open up to the West. By 81, they wanted to bring in foreign experts. To which country did they turn first for outside influx of, of technical knowledge? Guess what country it was? Obviously, Israel. And guess who it was?
Of course, Israel.
But who was it?
I don't know.
Me.
Really?
I was the first foreign advisor. Now, whether it's true, that's what they said to me. You're the first foreign advisor that we've invited. And they said, and this is the problem for us. They told me, you're an Israeli. You went to invite me. They couldn't invite me directly. Why? Because there's no relations with China for another decade or more. This is 1981. We have no relations with China. So they had the United Nations phone me. Will I be willing to go to Wuxi? It's a city in China. Small, 2 million people.
Wow.
Say there's a joke, small. And they said, and they told me, you're an Israeli, you're in here under the radar, but we value your knowledge. It's just some of the publications I had. It's something very non-physics, but I'd use physics to get the answers. It had to do with nutrition. And it was, but I'd use physics and nuclear physics to get the answer. And that impressed them. And the reason that I apologize, but most journals are so expensive that a poor country can't afford them. We publish in Israel several journals that are directly right out of the lab, and they're free essentially. Okay, and those are the articles that I've been publishing, besides the regular fancy ones, and those are the ones that they knew.
Wow.
They asked me. So China, probably the largest country in the world, population-wise, comes to Israel. I mean, when China says we have such as a billion people plus or minus, and they give a statistical scale, our whole country thinks in that statistical plus or minus of China.
Wow.
Yeah, so the position of Jews in the world is clear that there's something chosen about us. Not that we're great. I'm too embarrassed to tell you some of the things I've done in my life. Even now, as a supposed Orthodox, I'm still embarrassed, but I still do them. I'm ranking, but the simple fact is that's a reality.
Sure.
Doesn't make sense. So we've got the Torah, and there can be 1,000 other whatever they are, and whether they have their own Torah, I think it is unfair for us to lay our tradition as an absolute statement from Sinai. So the fact that I think there were these, maybe I'm just a dreamer, but I look at these videos and talk with people that are associated with those videos, some of those videos, and just because of my work, and I think they're real. And either the government is keeping something very secret from us, which is be fine. There's lots of military secrets, or there are forces in our galaxy. This is not from another galaxy. In our galaxy, in our universe, that is to say, this is not from another universe. This is from our universe, and that they might have. And if they've developed this, so then that means that they've got that technology. It should not be. The last thing I want, I know you like to stop it, I see, but the last thing I would help us do that we would do what the Catholic Church did to Galileo. they probably knew Galileo was correct, but they couldn't stand the fact that the poor peasant in the field would think that the earth wasn't the center. So what does it come out to be? Suddenly we find that the earth isn't the center, that the sun's there, and we're going around the earth. And what do people say? The Bible's wrong. Well, the Bible never said the sun was the center. In fact, in the beginning, Reshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. First Shamayim, Artits. So the Artits was never the first of the line, right from the first sentence of the Torah. But some misguided cleric, some, who knows, place, church somewhere makes this out. Now suddenly people, the Bible is wrong. And if we don't want to paint ourselves into a corner that if there is this extraterrestrial life, and it doesn't mean you to say yes or no definitely right now, but I would definitely say it's unfair to say definitely that it's no. And from the data that I've seen and the conversations I've had, I think that yes, if you had a scale, it's more on the yes side than on the no side. That
Wow.
is,
Amazing.
means to us. Anyway.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you
This
giving us
was
your
really,
time.
really good. We really
Eye-opening.
appreciate it. Thank you so much for your